We did this. All right, so what I'm gonna do today is, let me first of all, who I am. I'm Rich Hunzinger. I have a company here locally called Citrus Business Boosters, and I help small businesses improve their web marketing, do some web design and development and stuff. But typically I work with existing websites, people that are just trying to get more traffic and trying to get those traffic to convert into actual customers. And this is kind of the very beginning, the first thing that I would do when I get into a new website. If I get a new client, very early on, I want to go over their existing website and do what we can to kind of maximize that before we start talking about other stuff. Because really everything else you do, if you're going to do like paid advertising or anything later, it's all going to be more effective if your website is, more effective at actually selling people things. And in this case today, it's mostly just about attracting search engines and what is going to appeal to search engines. A few free tools. If you grab the handout back here, they are listed on there as well, the links to some of the stuff. Also, this will be online to review later. So if I go too fast or you feel like you missed something or forgot something, you'll always be able to review it. Please stop me at any time and ask questions. There are only 3 of you here, so no problem at all interrupting. All right, I'm going to talk about a couple of different on-site strategies, things that you'll actually do or can do on your website to make it appeal more to search engines, and then some stuff that you can actually do off-site as well that is part of the same thing, really. Improving page loading speeds, a couple of simple ways to do that. Improving your page content and structure to help appeal to search engines more. Off-site strategies, building a network of backlinks, creating shareable content, that sort of information. Backlinks are actually a very important part of a very important ranking factor. Getting links outside of your site that point back to it is one of the top ranking factors really that Google will look at. About SEO, SEM, search engine optimization is basically the stuff that you can do to your website to make it appeal more to search engines and to get yourself not only recognized by the search engine, but ranking higher in their results. SEM, typically search engine marketing. That's the related field of creating content, trying to get backlinks back to your site. They kind of work together. I'm going to talk about both of those things. It's a combination of technical information and some creativity. It is influenced both by things you do on-site and also off-site. And one thing that does appeal to a lot of people about this topic is everything that I'm talking about is free. I'm not going to talk about anything that costs any kind of money. Just take some time and do these things and you will be able to see some improvement. And it allows even the smallest company to compete in the same marketplace as anybody. And no matter how big your company is or how much you put into building your website, anybody can outrank them in the search results. It's not easy, but it can be done. So as far as on-site optimization, simple things we'll talk about: improving your keyword targeting and placement, improving your page structure, and improving page loading speeds. Those are 3 factors that are very influential in search results and ranking. For keywords, the first thing you want to do, first thing I do if I'm dealing with a new site, is start with research. You want to find out what keywords you really want to target in the first place. It's not necessarily going to be what you think is going to be the best thing, but it's something that is most searched. So if you find out that whatever you're targeting, say you have a hair salon and you want to put, hair salon as a keyword, and you find out that people actually look for hairdresser a lot more than they look for hair salon, well, then maybe you're going to want to focus on hairdresser in your content more than you actually do hair salon, for instance. And there are ways, I'll give you a tool you can use to find out which words are most searched or search more than other terms at least. You want to choose keywords that are both appropriate and likely to be searched. Target specific keywords and related keywords on particular pages. That doesn't sound like it means anything. I word that better. If you have several different types of things you're going to be targeting, rather than just making one big page with all of those different keywords on it, separate them into separate pages. Like if you have a hair salon, for instance, and you do nails, instead of just saying we do hair and nails, and just having one big page that says that, have a page about hair and a separate page about nails. By specifying what that particular page is about, It makes it more likely to outrank others as well. Avoid duplicate content. Try not to have multiple pages with the same content, the same paragraph over and over again. That will get flagged and demoted. So first thing, if you're not familiar, Google Search Console is a tool that will tell you about the traffic you're currently getting on your site and how it got there. You can see who, well, not necessarily who it was, but everybody that came to your site from a Google search result. It'll show you what word they were searching for. Most important, that's the most important thing to see where you rank in the results for that word at that time when they clicked on it. It'll also show you how many times you've actually appeared in people's searches for each word. And it's really, really good to know what you're currently doing that's working right now. If you see something on there that, if 90% of the traffic you've gotten is all coming based on the same keyword, that's a good place to start, is kind of focusing on that and doubling down on what's currently working for you. I included a link here and made it the same color as the background. That was brilliant. You'll see on your the handout there, I did include a link for Google Search Console. If you have a Google account, which most people do, if you have a Gmail account or if you created a YouTube account at some point, that Google account will allow you to access Search Console. You'll have to verify your ownership of the site. There are a few different ways that you can do that. Once that's done, though, it's a very, very useful tool to see what is actually going on right now with your traffic. Many free tools like SEMrush to find related keywords and search volumes. SEMrush, and I will actually let me just go there and show you what it looks like. I included a link to that on there as well, I believe. A little slow. You can get analysis on a website, a specific keyword. If you're going to put the domain in here, put the keyword in, you get different results based on it. I use it primarily for keyword research. If you look for, let's say, boat rental. What it's finding out now is how frequently this term is searched for on the internet and compared to other related terms. And, all right, it's gonna make me log in. It's a free thing. I don't pay anything for it. You do have to register to actually use their service. Users already registered. I know I'm trying to log in. Oh. For the benefits at home, I'm already logged into everything, so I don't have to do this. So boat rental, we'll see organic search, 74,000, 444 million results. So what that means is 74,000 times a month, people are searching for boat rental on the internet. The number of results is there. That's how many different results come up when those 74,000 searches happen. That gives you an idea of how competitive the word is, how many other people out there are actually trying to compete for the boat rental traffic. Paid search is not really relevant. If you were to use AdWords, for instance, it's estimating you'd pay about $2.36 per click. That is high, so it's probably a very competitive word on AdWords as well. You'll see the most common search terms that are related down here. These are phrase match keywords: boat rentals near me, boat rental Chicago, boat rental Miami, the things that are most frequently searched related to boat rental. We come over here to the other side, you'll see some related keywords: ski boat hire, nearest boat rental. This can give you some ideas if you have one or two keywords that you're trying to target. Maybe they're related keywords or similar things that people actually do search for quite a bit that you should be targeting as well. It's good to have not just your primary keyword, but any similar terms that have the same meaning and kind of convey the same idea that are not exactly the same word, but people might search for instance, boat hire compared to boat rental. I wouldn't think to search for boat hire if I'm trying to rent a boat, but people do apparently. And it's good to know that because you'll want to include at least some variation of that in your text as well. right, so once you have done this, kind of get a list of the keywords that you do want to target. First of all, the ones that you already have that you know are working well, and the ones that you found that might also want to be included. Just make sure you have all of those things, and you make a list, keep somewhere, know what you want to be targeting, because you're going to want to include that stuff in your on-page content, in your meta information, image alt tags, anywhere you can. Basically, if you can get it into the actual URL of a page, anywhere you can fit a keyword in, you want to try to remember to do that. Some things to know about keyword placement. Keywords can and should be placed in the URL, page titles, meta descriptions, image name, and alt tags, headings, and paragraphs. I'm going to get into that in a little bit more detail, but does everybody know what a meta description is, what the meta information is on a web page? It's not something you see on screen, but if you can go, I still have this website open. It's something that search engines use to tell you about the page. If we look at the page source here, the source code, there's this down low because of all this script up here. Typically, it's going to be at the very top of a page in the head. All right. Title, here we go. Title, boat rental, the SEMrush overview for keyword. We don't have a description here. It's probably down further. I'm not going to look for it. But basically, this is something that's on each page. If you're using something like WordPress or like GoDaddy, they're going to be making that automatically for you. One thing you can do if you're curious is right-click on your web, just pull your website up in a browser, right-click on it, and go to View Page Source, and you can look and see what they actually put for your title, for your meta description. You'll know where they got that from, and if you need to change it, you can go back and change it there. Because once you see it, you'll, oh, I know where I entered that information, or I entered that line that they're taking that from. Now I can go back and change it. Now, keywords should constitute at least 1% of your on-page content and no more than 2.5%. Now, there used to be this idea that you want to have as many keywords as you possibly can on each page. To say that over and over and over again, that's considered keyword stuffing. Now, once you get over 2.5%, if you've got 100 words, well, let's say you don't want to have 100 words. If you got 1,000 words on the page, and 260 of them are the same keyword, then Google is going to see that as you're trying to cheat their algorithm. You're trying to get ahead in search results rather than providing valuable content to people, and you actually get demoted in the search rankings for that. So that's one thing to be aware of. You want to have at least 1%, no more than 2.5%. That's kind of a sweet spot of the density you want to have for these targeted keywords. Each page, if possible, should target a specific keyword or group of related keywords. So rather than trying to have, if you've got 4 or 5 different services, it's fine to have a home page that mentions all of those services, but break out a separate page for each one of those items, and you're much more likely to come up in search results for that particular service or that particular term, rather than just expecting that they're all going to come to the home page because you've got all those keywords crammed in there. So try to target, you've got one product, in the future, it's probably not worth the time now, but maybe you could create different variations of, clean air conditioning lines or remove mold from air conditioning lines. Those would be 2 separate things to target. Maybe create separate pages for those, separate landing pages, they call them, and you're more likely to rank for those specific terms now. For rules for on-page content, just to kind of review, each page should have at least 200 words. I've kind of modified that a little bit. Ideally, you want 300 plus words per page, and really the more, the better. There is a line where you're getting to the point where it's no longer interesting to the customer, and they're not going to want to sit there and read a dissertation about it. The search engines like a lot of content. Customers, viewers, users of websites don't necessarily like a lot of content. They like it to be kind of short and to the point. But if you're really worried about getting your search results, you want to have at least 300 words on each page, 300 actual text words on the page. And also be aware that if you have images and there are words on the images, Google doesn't see those words. Those don't count. The words that are on images can't be indexed, and they're not going to show up in search results. It has to be actual on-page text to count toward that. I now say if you don't have 300 words, and I used to say at least 200 words, there doesn't seem to be a big difference between 100 and 200. So if you, for whatever reason, can't get 300 words on a page, I would say you want to have at least 100. Less than 100, and you're going to get penalized for sure. 100 to 200 doesn't seem like it makes a big difference. But there's really not a good reason to not have 300 words. Just try and find a way to get 300 words on each page. Each page should have one H1 heading. And again, if that's not something that you know or feel like you can control, if you look at the page source, like we did, you should be able to see what your H1 heading is on a particular page. And if you know where they put it, where they're getting that information, you can go there and change it if you need to. But you don't want any more than one. You want to have at least one H1 tag. And that should include one of whatever your most specific, your most targeted keyword would be. Try to get it in an H1 heading. Additional content should use subheadings that also include appropriate keywords. So the H2 and H3 type headings, subheadings. Again, so the main point being just get some keywords into the actual headings too, and not just the paragraphs. Use natural sounding language that's easy to read. I know Google is sending robots out there, and they're not necessarily reading like a human would, but believe it or not, that's actually something they do try to consider, is whether or not it looks like this is real valuable content, or if it looks like maybe something that a program generated just to try and outrank other people. So they do try to look for natural sounding language, plus that's going to appeal to the actual users as well. Include internal links that lead to other parts of your site, making it easy for users to navigate. Search engines do want things to be easy to use. They want the internet to keep moving. So Google likes links. They like it if you make it easy for people to get around your site. And also they do like external links. If you can provide links to other people's websites from your site, it's dangerous to an extent because you're going to be possibly sending traffic away from your site to other people. But that's something that Google does like. They like it when you make the internet open and available to visitors in your site. So that's just one more factor that they'll take into account when they're deciding where to rank you in search results. Rules for off-page or meta content. I don't know, I call it off-page, I guess, because you don't see it in your browser, but it actually is on the page. Page title should be between 50 and 60 characters and include a keyword. Your meta descriptions should be between 50 and 300 characters and include a keyword. The reason for the cutoff in both of these cases is when you're actually viewing search results in Google, what you're seeing is the page title is the blue link on the top, and then a little bit of text that's underneath it is the description that's provided in the meta information. If you get above 60 characters for your title, it will get cut off in the search results, so you won't be able to see the whole thing. And the same thing with the description. If you got more than 300 words there, it just doesn't fit in Google search results, so it just gets cut off. And because of that, they don't want you to do it. You'll actually get downgraded for providing descriptions that are too long and won't look good in their search results too. Images should have names and alt tags that include keywords. Again, if you're using something like GoDaddy, I don't know if they even give you the opportunity to put alt tags. I know WordPress does, some other site building sites like that will allow you to actually go in and put alt tags and names on your images. If you can, I definitely recommend it. It may be in GoDaddy somewhere. I haven't used it a whole lot. You have to look around. Page loading speed. Now, this is another thing that a lot of people don't really think about, but it's actually a pretty important or moderately important factor in search ranking when they're deciding how to rank you compared to a site that is comparable, that has a lot of keywords, similar content. If your page loads faster, then you'll outrank that other one. All other things being equal, page speed is going to bump you up ahead of other people. The reason for that, especially now because more than 50% of web traffic is on mobile devices, heavy pages, slow pages that take a long time to load are actually much worse on a mobile device than on a desktop device. They'll take even longer. And that's something that Google is going to consider when they decide where to rank you. And regardless of your page ranking, if you get somebody coming to your site and it takes 20 seconds for the page to load, they're not going to sit around and wait for it in most cases. They're not invested in you or your website. They'll just go somewhere else and look at somebody else's page that loads fast. Use Google Page Speed Insights to test your site. This is a free tool that Google provides. I believe I provided a link in on the handout there. I would definitely recommend going and checking that out. It will tell you, it'll give you a grade, first of all, how quickly your page loaded, then also tell you why it is slower and what you can do to speed it up. It'll give you specific suggestions on what you can do. Other free tools can help you optimize your images. That's one of the biggest reasons a page might load slowly, are the actual size of the images on the page. A free tool that I use is Kraken, kraken.io. It's a website, I believe I provided the link in there as well, that you can go to and just upload all of your images that are on your website. It'll make them smaller, losslessly. You won't lose any of the quality of the image, but it'll make the file size smaller, not the image smaller. If you can understand, the size of the actual file will be decreased. And that is one of the biggest things that slows a site down. I always recommend, if I'm working on a website or building a new website, the first thing I do before I upload any images is take them to Kraken, optimize and make them as small as I can before I put them on the site. Some of the other things that I always recommend, and it's kind of an ongoing project, building backlinks. Backlinks are a major ranking factor, something that Google does take very seriously. And one of the things that is, aside from traffic, existing traffic is, the #1 ranking factor. The site that people go to the most is going to outrank everybody else. Beyond that, backlinks, the number of backlinks it has, that gives your domain authority in Google's eyes. And the higher your domain authority, the higher you're going to rank above other people. That's something that just takes time. You have to work on. Create useful, shareable content that would interest others, and use social media. Social media is actually a really easy way to get some backlinks from some good, reputable websites. Facebook gets a lot of traffic, so just creating a Facebook page that links back to your page, that's a good idea. That's a good backlink. Same with Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn. Create as many, even if you're not going to use them, just having the profile and having that backlink is worthwhile. I always recommend that. I'm not a huge social media person myself, but it is important as far as search engines are concerned. Some other easy ways to create backlinks. There are lots of free business directories. You definitely want to be on Google My Business. If you don't have a physical storefront, that's okay, but you do need to provide a physical address when you're signing up for a My Business listing. You don't have to display it on there. You do have the option to not display it, but you do have to provide a physical address. Definitely recommend it though. Bing Places is also a free business directory. Facebook, of course, I just mentioned. Yelp, you can create a free directory on there as well. Any place you can go to that gets good traffic already and you can create a link back to your site, it's a good idea. I recommend it. The information I put on here. Google considers both the number and quality of links from other sites to yours. Sites with higher domain authority provide more juice for ranking. Use free business directory listings, like I said, all right. I do recommend, even beyond creating social media accounts, try to participate on there, post things once in a while, because you never know when somebody's going to happen to notice it, maybe even share it, and then you're going to get other people. And each one of those shares going with your link is creating yet another backlink from, it doesn't get as much juice because it's on the same site, but it's always good to get your link in front of as many people as you can. Create shareable content. It's kind of a little bit off topic, but it's related to me because this is another way of generating backlinks as well. If you create articles, blogs, newsletters, videos are great because you also will be able to then put your link on YouTube as well and create your YouTube channel, which is of course owned by Google. And if there are certain types of searches where you'll notice YouTube videos come up above everything else. So if you can create a YouTube video or a video and put it on YouTube, there's a good opportunity there to outrank some other people. Content can be shared on social media and repurposed. So for instance, if you have a video, you can also create a blog post that shares the same content. You could take that blog post and cut it into 5 different tweets on Twitter. Just take the same content, put it as many places as you can. If you need to change the format in order to do that, do that. One of the things I like about content marketing is specifically that once you create a piece of content, you have it. If you write a blog post, you always will be able to use that for other purposes. in perpetuity. I mean, there's really, unless it's no longer relevant. But content marketing is really kind of a big deal nowadays. One of my workshops was specifically on content marketing, and a couple of months ago, it might have been last month actually. And I gave a lot more information on that and some resources about that. So if you get an opportunity and have any interest in it, you might want to review that. So typically, I recommend starting with the keyword research. I know a lot of people have ideas about what your primary keywords are, what you feel like you want people searching for to find your site, but that's not necessarily going to be the best word for you. You may find that there's a related keyword that's actually a lot more searched and a lot more likely to bring traffic. So before you go creating all of your content, use the tools like Search Console, SEMrush that I provided the links for in the paper there. Use those to make sure that you're targeting the right keywords before you go changing everything on your website. If you find that there's a similar term or related term that is more likely to bring traffic to your site, then you really want to put your effort into that more than whatever you had in your mind. Create pages to target specific keywords and related words. Follow the rules of page structure and keyword placement. So like I mentioned, try to make as many, I like to say as many pages as you possibly can. If you can get 100 pages on your website with 300 words of content on each one, and each one is targeting a different keyword or a different variation of a keyword, you're just increasing the likelihood that you're going to get ranked in search results for one of those pages. Because any one of your pages can show up in the ranking. It's not necessarily always just going to drive traffic to your home page. There are pages deeper down in the site that are also going to be indexed by Google and also can show up in a search result. So always, I recommend as many top pages as you possibly can, if you can have good content on them. There is something called thin content, which demotes you. So if you have less than 100 words on a page, Google will consider that to be thin and that you'll actually lose points for that. So you don't hurt yourself by creating a bunch of useless pages, but if you can create pages with real good content on them, as many as you possibly can is what I recommend. Rules of page structure and keyword placement. That's basically have one H1 tag, one main heading. Any other heading needs to be a subheading at H2 or H3. That's kind of technical stuff. You'll have to look at your actual source code to see how your page is set up in that way. Try to get keywords in your meta description and your title, your image alt tags, and also image names. Optimize page speeds by reducing image size. I mentioned there are lots of free tools for that. Kraken is the one that I use, but there are others. If you have a WordPress site, there are plugins that will do that for you, so you don't really have to go anywhere. Minifying CSS, HTML, JavaScript. Again, if you're not a web developer, that probably doesn't mean anything to you. There are ways of doing that. Imagine GoDaddy probably does it for you. If you're using WordPress or a site builder like that, there are plugins that will do that for you to make sure that those script files are being minified. If not, and you're not a web developer, then it's just how it is. It's just going to be that way. Create a network of backlinks continuously. That's, I mean, like I said, that's the best thing anybody can really do for themselves outside of getting your page content straight, targeting the right keywords. Get out there and actually find ways of creating links back to your site. And a good way of doing that is by creating some sort of content, whether it's a video, a blog. Doing social media is a great way of getting your link out there as well. Any way, any place, if you see, just search for free business directories in Google. And if there's stuff that you've never even heard of, but they let you go add your backlink or add your website link to it, just do it. Get it out in as many places as you can. Unless there's some danger in it, I can't imagine a site is going to do anything that would be dangerous to your business information. Create and share content, do something on social media. Again, I'm not a huge social media person, but it is, and another thing you want to do with social media is actually link those accounts to your website. Give people an opportunity to visit your Facebook page, visit your LinkedIn page from your website. That's something that tools, and this is I did want to give you guys an opportunity, if anybody wanted to do a free SEO audit. We could put your website into this tool, and we could do it, I mean, for both of you if you wanted to, because there are only 2 sets of people here. Absolutely. If you want to do that, we'll go ahead and take a look. I can go over their report and kind of help you understand what they're saying and maybe what you can do to get things in line with them?
Sure.
All right, let's try it then. You're going to see some of the stuff we were just talking about in here. I kind of wanted to familiarize you with the terms before you take a look at one of these reports. There are tons of free auditing tools like this. The reason I like this one is because it will give you not only your search engine optimization report, but also tell you about things like security, usability, performance, how quickly your pages are loading and that sort of thing. They give you all of that stuff in one report. All right, so what's your website?
www.pumpkinfree, all one word, PUMPN free.com.
It takes a few minutes, probably not a few minutes, 1 minute. This grade will change as it's doing the results, so don't panic. %74 now. It breaks down the individual categories here. This little spider web chart shows you how close you are to the outside. You want to have the whole thing blue is the idea. Got great security. Is it done? Yes. All right. D+. Yeah, the D for SEO. So we'll see some things I bet you could do right away, actually. It should be easy to fix. Usability is not bad. Performance, I'm going to guess you're probably just have some big images on there that are bigger than they need to be, and you probably get that up to a B+, just by reducing the image size. Social, you have no social media links on your site, I'd say, probably. Do you have anything on there?
We did, yeah.
No, I'll take a look.
We got onto Facebook was through GoDaddy.
Yeah.
Which was.
We'll see what they say at the bottom once we get down there then, I guess. All right. SEO could be better. HTML header. You have no title tag and no meta description. Now this is a tricky one when you're using the website builder on GoDaddy because they don't give you, it says you have a title tag actually. Oh, okay. It is too long. That's your problem with your title tag. So I don't know if you can find where this is on your site, where they're getting that, but I would get it down to, maybe just this first part actually, residential HVAC evaporator line, algicide injection system, and just cut out the rest of it. You want it between 10 and 70 characters is what it's recommending on here. Your meta description is the same thing. It is way too long. You got 329 characters here. You want to get it down. That's not even way too long, because that's only 9 characters too long. So you want it down to 320 as a maximum. I said 300 in my presentation, I believe. So you can add another 20 characters to that even. So that's an easy one. If you know where this is coming from on your site, just try to shave 9 characters off of that, and you're going to be in much better shape. And the reason for that, like I said, is because it's all just about how it actually literally appears on the screen in search results. So because your title tag is so long, when Google tries to show your site on their search results, it's going to get cut off. And they don't like that. They don't want it to look ugly in their search results, but just that fact alone will demote you or degrade you in your rankings. So get that shortened, get your description shortened, and you're automatically going to be bumped up a little bit. Header tags. You are making good use of headers. You do have 1 H1 tag, it looks like. You got 6 H2s, 7 H4s. So that's good. That's something GoDaddy would intuitively just kind of help you do because they know that's how you need to do things. Keyword consistency, you got a check mark for that too, so that's good. You've got condensate in your title and your description and your heading tags. Awesome. That's probably a good one. Free is not really relevant necessarily, so that may not be one you need to have so much of. You got 18 of them on there. Not a big deal. That's not a big deal at all. Some of these things, though, vinegar, lime, condensate, those seem like things that are pretty relevant. So that's good. I would do some keyword research and see what exactly people are searching for that may be, relevant to what you're doing. You'll probably find there are some other words that you haven't even considered, and get those included as well. But you got a good score for your keywords, so that's good. Good amount of content, 645 words. Good job. Well over 300. Probably maybe a little bit too much for your general reader that's coming through there, but maybe not. I mean, if it's all split up well. One thing I like to do, this is kind of off topic a little bit too, is actually back to, I've got a user experience management presentation I did before. If you have a lot of content like that, create what they call calls to action, or actually have a button on there that says buy now or contact us, so that each paragraph will give them an opportunity to click on that button and go right to your contact form or your order form. So if they want to, they don't have to scroll all the way to the bottom of the page or go back up to the menu and look for it. As they're reading along, interject those calls to action all along the way, so that it's cool to have a lot of content and they don't want to read it all, though at least they have an opportunity, a quick way. They're like, all right, that's enough. I'm just going to go ahead and email you now. I'm going to go ahead and call you now or whatever. So try to inject, calls to action in the midst of your content when you have over 600 words like that, I'd say. Alt tags. You have images on your page missing alt attributes. Now you've got 12 of them and 10 of them are missing them. So that means there is a way of getting alt tags in there, because 2 of them apparently have alt tags. So I'm not sure. Again, I'm not as familiar with the GoDaddy website builder, so I can't really help you understand how to do that. But it can be done apparently, because 2 of them have them and 10 of them don't. So if that's something you can figure out how to fix, that would be helpful as well.
I can understand alt tags better.
All it is when you put an image in the actual code, you put image, you have a source, then you have alt equals a piece of text. It's what shows up on the screen if the image doesn't load, or if somebody's using a screen reader, somebody's blind and is using a screen reader, it'll read that image name to them, not in the name of it, whatever your alt tag is. Like say, for instance, you have a picture of a house and be like, greenhouse with red roof is your alt tag, because it's just a description of what the image is. That is an alternate thing, a piece of content, if the image itself is not available, either because it didn't load or because somebody is using a screen reader. And so that sort of thing Google is going to look for as well, that you're making it easy for people who can't see but use screen readers. They want good search results as well. If you've got a bunch of images on your page that don't have alt tags, there's no content for those people now. So the alt tag is content for people that can't actually see your image. And it's probably a simple way of doing it. I just don't know what it is on your website builder. Backlinks is definitely something you could work on. You have 4 backlinks that get found on the web. Probably your Facebook page. I'm not sure where else you put them, but if you don't have a Google My Business listing, if you don't have a Bing Places listing, definitely get on that as quickly as possible. Google My Business is just something that will help you in Google's mind as well. That's the thing I say about YouTube channel as well. Anytime you play along with Google and use as many of their products as you can, start a Google Plus page, that's their social media thing. Play along with Google and get yourself as involved in their products as much as you can, and that helps. But backlinks, and this is a domain authority. What that is how important those links are, the sites that those links are coming from, how likely are they to be visited by other people, how high do they rank with Google. This is not very good authority too. So I would imagine your Facebook one is probably the only one that has any domain authority, and the other 3 are just almost useless. But find a way to get things on your, like My Business, like I said, Google My Business, Bing Places, those have high domain authority, and that's going to help you there as well. On-page link structure. 19 total links, 5% are external links and sending authority to other sites. 0% of them are no follow links, so that's good. That seems good. I mean, 19 links is quite a bit actually. No broken links, so that's good. Friendly URLs. Some of your link URLs do not appear friendly to humans or search engines. Do you have any idea what you're linking to on your site?
A YouTube video.
It's a YouTube video. Well, those have strange URLs. I don't know if that's what they're considering.
I have a link that does a Google search that you click on, and it does a Google search for you.
Mm-hmm.
And gives you information about vinegar and condensation lines. Maybe that's it.
That could be it. I wouldn't be too concerned about that if that's what the case, if that's the case. Because some of those, especially if you're doing search results, what you're going to end up with is it automatically generating URLs that include your website plus the search term with like pluses and minuses. If they use like multiple words in their search term in that URL that it generates, they're going to have to say, vinegar plus line plus whatever the terms are, because the URL can't have spaces in it. And that's the sort of thing that'll make it an unfriendly URL. If that's the reason for it, though, is you're searching like that, I wouldn't be concerned about that. You're probably not being penalized for that in reality. You do have an XML sitemap. Probably not something you know anything about, but GoDaddy would take care of that for you. A sitemap is just a text document that sits on your server and just lists all of the different pages that are on your site. And if you don't want those pages to be indexed, you can say do not allow whatever that page is. List each page, basically just telling search engines, I want you to index these pages, but not these pages. That will be generated automatically by GoDaddy. If you're using something like WordPress, there's a plugin called Yoast and other plugins like that will automatically generate sitemaps for you. Not something you typically have to worry about. Could not detect an analytics tool installed on your page. Now, this is something I know you can do with GoDaddy, is install Google Analytics. I highly, highly recommend that. It's a very, very important and useful thing to have for everybody. It keeps track of all the traffic that's coming to your site, what time of day it was, what kind of device they were on, what words they searched for, what pages they visited. You can follow their path all the way through the site, how long they stayed there, the session duration, the bounce rate, how many of those people hit one page and then left. There's a lot of good information, and the sooner you get that installed on your site, all that information will be there forever now, and you can start looking back on things and seeing how things progressed over time, how things changed, the stuff that you do based on your efforts to optimize things. You'll be able to see how the results of that. Do you know what Google Analytics is?
No, I never.
Go to analytics.google.com or just search for Google Analytics. Actually, I'm sure if you just search for analytics, they'd be the first result because it's Google. There's going to be, you'll have to create, if you don't have a Google account of any sort. If you have a Google account already, whether Gmail or YouTube or whatever, you just use that to log into it. It'll give you this tiny little bit of code that you just need to place on your website. GoDaddy will actually have, when you're saying like add a section, kind of website builder stuff, one of those things is like analytics code or tracking code or something like that. Just look for that. There'll just be a little box to paste it in, and it will make sure it's on every single page of your site. So then Google is going to start tracking. Google's already tracking the stuff, but they're going to start sharing that information with you now as well. So yeah, I definitely would recommend that. And they consider that a ranking factor. Apparently, I didn't even really know that. But this website considers having analytics on your site to be a ranking factor for search engine optimization. Usability is good. Yeah, B-. I don't know what they're complaining about here. Use iframes. You do not have a favicon. Favicon is, if you look up at the top here in the tabs, they have these little icons that indicate, there's your YouTube icon here. This is the SEMrush icon. That's just something for visual appearances. If you don't have that, you just get this ugly little file-looking icons, like a piece of paper. I'm not sure why anybody particularly cares as far as, and they don't consider a search engine ranking factor on here. It's just usability. So that's just something people are going to expect to see, and it'll stand out, I guess, if you've got the ugly floppy little paper thing here. If they notice that, it just seems unprofessional, I guess, is what they're saying. I don't know how that works on Google, but I'm fairly certain you have the option of somehow getting a favicon on there. Do you know where you'd be using an iframe? Do you have a YouTube video embedded there? That's probably what it is.
Yeah.
So you can actually view, like on your page, you can actually click on play in the YouTube player and play it right there. Yeah, I mean, that's a good thing to have, so I wouldn't be too stressed about the iframes then. It's kind of a trade-off. If you want to have a YouTube video on your page, which I think is a good idea if you have a video, then leave it there. But unfortunately, that's what YouTube gives you to put on your page is an iframe. And the reason they don't like that is because any content that's inside of that iframe is not technically part of your page. So it can't be indexed by search engines. And it looks like you're just putting a bunch of, and they don't know what it is. The search engine can't see what's in the iframe. And so if it's something that they don't like, they are going to want to penalize you for it, but they can't because they can't see what it is. Also, there are some weird issues with iPods or iPads and iPhones with iframes. They don't always work on the older models. So that's another reason people say you should try to avoid them. But if it's just for the YouTube video, I would definitely say that's fine. Performance could be better. You got good page speed, actually. Good page size. Where's the problem? JavaScript errors. Show details. That's interesting since you're using GoDaddy. Goodness. You know,
Not bad news, huh?
I would recommend if you, I mean, it's not something that's causing you, it is causing you to have problems in search ranking because of your page speed. If it's actually slowing down your loading speed because of these JavaScript errors, then you would get penalized for that. If you can remember this tool, SEO P-Timer, I'm not sure you're supposed to say SEO Timer. I'm not even sure how you pronounce that. I think that's on my handout there, that link. Go there, run this thing, and maybe even call GoDaddy and talk to one of their tech support people about these JavaScript errors and where they're coming from and what you can do about them. That's one of the downsides of using a website builder like that. That's one thing I don't like about WordPress as well. There's so much script that has to be there just because of the way the site is that allows you to go make changes and do things without having to write code. So they have to include all this JavaScript and all this other stuff on your page to make it work. And it does cause problems and slow things down a little bit. So there are a lot of plugins in WordPress that you use just to counteract WordPress's own scripting that they have to put in there in order to make the stuff work right. It could be that they'll tell you that all this stuff is necessary and it's not really an error. Because there are an awful lot of them. I can't imagine these are all actual errors. Cannot read property, no conflict of undefined HTML script element, jQuery ready. Yeah, see, that's weird. And there are things that are not defined, things that are not being executed that are supposed to be. I would talk to them about that for sure. All right, optimize images. That's one thing that is almost always going to be the case. If you haven't taken the time to make sure you're using the smallest file size you can for images, you're pretty much guaranteed that it's slowing your pages down and is going to be causing problems. And that's one thing they say. So if you can take all of your images, if you have them all in one directory somewhere, just drag the whole thing over into Kraken.io and let them optimize them for you, then bring them back and upload them all to your website again. A little tedious, but it's definitely worthwhile. Right, social results, they have YouTube, and that's it. They do not have Facebook connected. So if you, I don't know if you have like a Twitter account or Google Plus or any of these others, if you have LinkedIn, I would recommend LinkedIn for a product like yours too, because that would be something, I don't know, do you feel like it would be good for businesses, like commercial air conditioners?
I don't know.
More of a residential thing, probably?
Yeah, I don't think so.
No.
Because it's a tool that puts them out of work, if you will.
Yeah.
If you will.
Right. True. Well, I mean, for like say a bakery or something that has an air conditioning system, I mean, would it help them with their air conditioning system?
Probably not. It's a more residential type. I'm not familiar with those big commercial.
Yeah, it's a different type of
It's more residential
thing. Okay. But yeah, if you can create some accounts, I'm sure, in fact, I know, I just did this with somebody else's website on the GoDaddy website builder, that one of the sections you can add when you're like adding sections to a page is social media links. So you just go on there, you put your links into your page, and it will put the icons right there with Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. Include those links. That's something, again, it's one of those examples of Google wanting you to make your site friendly to the rest of the internet as well. They want people to be able to access the rest of the internet from your site, and that helps. You do have 12 shares on Facebook, it says, of your link, so that's not bad. Security is very good, which is understandable because you're using a website builder. Email addresses have been found in plain text. Good. Not even your email address at GoDaddy.
No.
Well, there's nothing you can do about that. I wouldn't, I mean, I put my email address in plain text for people if they, I mean, even if I have a contact form, some people don't like to use forms. Some people just want to pull up their Outlook or whatever and type in their email address and email you the old-fashioned way. I wouldn't consider that too much of anything. Obviously, it's nothing you can do anything anyways with GoDaddy. And this is just different technology you're using. This is not really useful to you at all. So the very first thing they recommend, high priority, is execute a link building strategy. You've got 4 backlinks right now. You can definitely do better than that. So once if you're going to try to optimize your keyword placement and that sort of stuff, go ahead and do that first. But then really try to work on building either listings and business directories or social media profiles that include links back to your site. You should be able to get a dozen to 20 of them without a whole lot of effort. Just by doing that, it's going. Yellowpages.com is a place you can go create a business listing. YP.com, I think it is, which I think is actually part of Dex now. You do that, and you will get phone calls from them talking about their advertising solutions and trying to sell you advertising. That's the downside, but it doesn't cost anything except for a couple of annoying phone calls, which aren't that annoying. They're nice people. I'm just telling you, not interested, unless you're interested, and worthwhile too. Medium priority, low priority stuff I wouldn't be too concerned about. Encourage page social sharing, obviously. Create and link your Facebook page. Yeah, those are things they want. Alt attributes to images. We talked about. Get analytics on there, definitely. That's more for, regardless of the search engine ranking element of it, just the utility for you, how useful it is to have the information you'll get from analytics. Definitely good. Remove iframes. Like I said, if it's your YouTube video, I wouldn't worry about it. You can, there are ways to embed the YouTube video without using an iframe, but YouTube's not going to do that for you. You have to really know what you're doing as far as web development. So I wouldn't be concerned about that. They consider it a low priority thing too. Not a big deal. Resolve JavaScript errors. They consider that low priority. Apparently not slowing your pages down too much. And then just link all your social media profiles. Do you have any questions about any of the stuff in this report here?
That's very interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely useful.
Yeah.
To know there's some stuff that you can do, right away. You're doing well with your keywords, though, it looks like, which is kind of one of the heaviest lifting elements of the whole thing is make sure you got plenty of good keywords and they're placed well and they're in your headings or in your paragraphs or in your title. The title and your meta description, I would get on shortening those too. That's a really easy fix once you know where they're located in your site builder there. But once you find those things and just reduce the size, that's going to be an immediate bump up in search ranking just like that for 10 seconds worth of work. I get on that. Would you be interested in looking at your website?
Yeah.
All right. Give me a second. All right. What is it?
www.labelscitruscounty.com.
Labels plural. Labels Citrus County. You got A+ on social already. Oh, it's down to B now. All right. Yeah, C overall, that's really not bad. 19 improvements recommended. Let's see. SEO, you get a D. Title tag is good. Oh, this is it. 18 characters. What do you do?
We're owned by the Key Training Center, so it's a similar to a consignment shop.
Okay.
But we pay outright for people's clothing and accessories.
Okay. Well, one thing I would suggest, your title length is good, but it doesn't really say a whole lot about what the page is. So if that's something you could change, have it be a little bit more about what you're actually doing. The meta description is missing, it says. Is it, did you like hire a web developer? It's on WordPress? Okay. Well, that should be fairly easy to fix. Then when you're looking at a page, when you're actually editing your pages on the WordPress dashboard, there's a little section at the bottom where it shows what looks like how your page would show up in a search result. And you can edit, it was like edit snippet, and you can edit your title and your meta description right there. If you look at it, or whoever does it, if you just let whoever does it know. Are you the one who does it? Okay. So yeah, if you look at that, just go to that page and edit that page and scroll down, you should see your meta title and description down there. This, I'm guessing, then WordPress plugged to whatever template you're using, just plug that title in for you, most likely. That'd be an easy thing to do, add a good title, add a description right away. Header tags, you have 0 H1 tag, you have no header tags. Again, that's something that you can do when you're looking at the page editor. You've got your WYSIWYG and what you see is what you get style editing, where they've got usually a little drop down where you can like highlight a piece of text and tell it whether you want it to be a heading 1, heading 2, paragraph. You should be able to see that. Get a couple of headings on there with keywords on them. That would definitely help. No keywords included because you don't have a legitimate title and you don't have any meta tags, so that's not really fair. Of course, you don't have those. You don't have any heading tags. So even though you've got good keywords, you've got sell, buy, I guess they're maybe not the best keywords. Sell and buy would be good because that's something you do there. What is it, like clothing mostly? And is it the thrift store over on 19?
No, they have the 3 thrift stores and then they have Labels. Labels is in downtown Inverness.
Okay.
Right behind the government center building.
Is it like it's like this, is it the same kind of thing where people can come? It's a consignment shop, you said,
So consignment is where you take it in and then
you sell it for them?
you don't get paid until it gets sold type of thing.
I
This
see.
one we buy it outright from you, so we're purchasing it from you that day.
I see, okay. Well, what type of stuff is it? All kinds of things?
Clothing, shoes, accessories, jewelry, purses, that type of thing.
All right. Well, those are the types of words, I guess, I would put in the pages. Jewelry, clothes, and also get them in your headings and in your meta tag and in your title. You've got a lot of room for improvement, which is a good thing because it's all really easy stuff, actually, that you could probably make a big difference if you actually did some of this stuff. Yeah, amount of content, 165 words. Like I said before, you want to have at least 300 words. They will interpret that as thin content. So I would just add and, try to make it as valuable as you can. Don't just cram a bunch of words on the page, but, write some more stuff. A couple more paragraphs would be good. Images missing alt attributes. All you do in WordPress, if you go to your media library and you click on any one of your images, it'll pull it up in like a separate window. And on the right-hand side, there'll be little fields for you to enter the name, the alt, the description. So if you just go to your media library, select an image, and it'll pull up a field for you to enter your alt tags and your name and stuff. So go through and add some of those, and that'll help. And you've got 6 of them actually that have alt tags already, it looks like, and there are only 3 that are missing. Number of backlinks, 13 altogether, which is not terrible. It's reasonably weak, they consider it. Do you have Facebook page? Do you have Twitter, LinkedIn?
We don't have Twitter. We have Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. I know we have Google, My Business.
Okay.
I believe that's it.
Well, Google My Business, a similar thing for Bing. Bing Places, get on there as well. That'd be good. Yelp is a place you could go to, yp.com, yellowpages.com. You're doing fairly well. It's a good start, actually, for sure. 15 total links, 20% are external links. That's good. No broken links, friendly URL is good. You got 2 sitemaps, that's good. WordPress did that for you. You may be using, do you know if you're using Yoast, the Yoast SEO plugin?
I believe we have that one on there. I'm not sure though. I want to say we do.
If you don't, I would recommend it because it's a really cool thing you can do is for each page, it'll ask you what keywords you're targeting and you type that in there and then it will tell you that you just need to get more of them. You only got 0.9% of that keyword or 0.9% of your content has that keyword in it. You want more. And it'll keep you within the right keyword density. It'll tell you if you don't have enough content. It'll complain if you have less than 300 words. It gives you a lot of, on each page, like a line item list of things you can do to improve it. So I get that plugin, it's helpful. You don't have analytics, definitely get on that as well. There's a plugin for that too. You still have to go to Google Analytics and create your account and get your tracking code from there. And then just go back to WordPress and get either Monster Insights or the WP Analytics plugin. If you just go to plugins and search for analytics, there are dozens of them you could use. And that'll definitely help as well. And like I said, it's not just about search ranking, but it's actually a really cool, useful thing that I think everybody should use. Usability is good. Just means it's responsive to different devices. No favicon. There's a plugin for that as well. If you just search for favicon in plugins, you find one that you can use, and then you just put whatever image you want to appear up in your title bar. Performance could be better. I'm going to guess this is an image problem. Page file size. It's probably image related. JavaScript errors here too. Probably WordPress stuff, just one of them. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. All right, so WordPress has a plugin called Smush, S-M-U-S-H, and others too that will optimize the images. Really easy on there because you don't have to go somewhere else and download all your images and then put them in a different thing. It will, where they currently are existing on your site, Smush can go through and actually reduce the file size where they are, so I would recommend that. That is part of your problem you're having with your page size. Your page size is over 5 megabytes, partly because the images probably are too big. Another thing, it could be, I don't know, does this mention minifying or? No, it doesn't. Can't really do anything about the JavaScript resources. There's another thing I would search for, a plugin to minify your script files. Just if you just look for minify, what that will do is reduce the size of your JavaScript files and your HTML, CSS files. That'll reduce the page size too. And you're at 6.27 megabytes on average, so you're not too far above it. If you get that down under 5, then they're not going to consider that a bad ranking factor anymore. Social's good. You have Facebook connected and Instagram. They don't even include Pinterest on here in the list. But yeah, it sounds like that kind of store would be good on Pinterest, actually. Lots of social shares. Doing a good job on Facebook, it looks like. Do you do any advertising on Facebook?
We have a Facebook page that we post on daily.
But do you ever do any like paid advertising on there?
They do. I'm not in charge of that. I don't have access to do that, but the executive, she does a few of the page posts. And you have like a picture you can boost.
Yeah.
You can pay for so many days, for so many to hit so many markets. So every once in a while they do that.
Well, I would highly recommend, if you're going to be paying for advertising, to do some of these on-page optimizations. Get the keywords on there, get the headings fixed, the title tag and the meta description, because all of that stuff is going to make your advertising more effective too. Especially if you're paying for traffic, you want the traffic to do well on the site. Most of that stuff is really organic search ranking, so I guess it's not a huge factor because the on-page stuff that customers are actually seeing, the only thing that would really influence them, I guess, would be the page speed. If the speed's too slow and it takes too long to load. So reducing your image size, trying to minify your script files will definitely help with that. Security is very good, of course, because it's WordPress. Email privacy, this is a thing. I didn't even know this was a thing. I had no idea that this was something they complained about.
Well, we have ours on there, but they can email us.
It is, yeah, it's the labels at keytrainingcenter.org, which I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I never have complained about that. I didn't know that was something that they considered to be insecure, but I guess it makes sense if it's an email address that you don't want getting out to spammers. They could make a bot that just goes through the internet and swipes all these email addresses from everybody's websites if you've got it in plain text on there. So I could see the concern there. But if it's an email address that you're sharing with the public already anyway, you're probably going to get some spam once in a while. I guess you kind of have to decide how you feel about that. If you're getting a whole bunch of spam all of a sudden, maybe get that off the website, I guess. That might be part of the reason there's robots coming through and stripping it out of there and adding you to some list. We had one of my clients actually had his site hacked into. This had been going on for months. And somebody came on there and and he has a WordPress site, and they created a little script that they added to our functions.php file that would create a new user in WordPress, a new admin user, and then that user, which was just a robot, had access to all of our files, and it started injecting links to this IT certification site where you can buy books for IT certification. This guy sells dump trailers, it has nothing to do with that stuff. So I'm like going through his pages, and you can't see it in any of the pages in WordPress. If you're just looking in your dashboard trying to edit the pages, you'd have no clue. You have to view source in the actual browser, because it didn't render this stuff until it was in the browser. So I'm going through it one day, and it's got this list with 30 links to this other IT certification site. I mean, I spent probably 2 days actually working on trying to figure out where that code was that was creating that. But I didn't know that was a thing that's happening. That's a thing people do to create backlinks to their sites. They create these bots that are going out to the WordPress sites and injecting backlinks, and they put it they use CSS to make it so it's hidden, so you can't see it on the screen. They fit this all within, in this case, it was height 1 pixel. So the height of this whole list of links on the screen was 1 pixel, so you couldn't even see it. But search engines could see it because the search engine's looking at the code. So all these things are getting referenced as extra backlinks back to this other website. And I imagine they probably did this to tons of different sites. But yeah, that's what it makes me think of when I thought of that, why they want you to not put your email address in plain text. That's the sort of thing people are doing, just creating these programs that are just going through and stealing information or injecting things into your site. Which if you're using WordPress or GoDaddy, you've got some protection against that, but this was a WordPress site that happened to. So he didn't have, there's a plugin called WordFence. If you want some kind of protection from that sort of thing, what it does, among other things, that anytime somebody logs in as an administrative user that has the right to change anything, you'll get an email letting you know, like, hey, so-and-so just logged in. If he had that on there, he would have been getting emailed every time this user, this fake user, this bot was doing stuff, and he would have seen like, well, who is this Megan Sweet person? That's the name they use. And then we would have found out right away. So yeah, if you don't have WordFence, you probably want to get that on there too to protect you from that kind of stuff. But yeah, this is actually pretty promising in a lot of ways because you do really well with the social stuff, and you're doing pretty well with a lot of other stuff. And the things that are fixable are pretty easy fixes, really. So I think you guys can actually do quite a bit to improve your search ranking, really. With some of the, adding the meta title. You got a meta title, but making one that has keywords in it. Adding the description, using headings on your pages, definitely help. It's got a nice look to it too in mobile, at least. Do you have any questions about anything on here? Any questions about anything at all from anybody? Well, one thing that I mentioned too about calls to action, if you do have a lot of content on a site, that's just one thing that I recommend is trying to break it up by putting a button or something. Buttons are really useful, especially because of mobile devices now, instead of just a regular text link. If you can, and you've got a text link, say, hey, email us or contact us, make it a button. And it's much more noticeable, and people are used to pushing buttons on their phones now on the screen rather than clicking on text links. So I recommend using buttons, putting calls to action everywhere on every page, just in the middle of the page. Here's a little bit of a paragraph about such and such a thing. Contact us at the bottom of it, or buy now, shop now, something like that. And not don't just put it at the end of the page. Put it in all through everything. Every time there's a new break in the content, there's a new section. Nobody's offended by that, I don't think. It doesn't seem intrusive when you're using a website and you see that on there. I mean, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't feel like they're like, oh, they're trying to get me to contact them and buy their product. Of course they are. That doesn't bother anybody. Yeah, the other types of topics that I've covered before, if you want to go review the YouTube videos, that's one, the actual user experience management, doing the things that you can do to not about making your site appeal to search engines, but making it actually appeal to the user and what's going to make them more likely to convert and become a customer. And there's a presentation on that. I did one on reputation management, which we had talked about briefly how to get reviews from customers, and how to avoid getting bad reviews. If you do get a bad review, the only thing you can do is get a bunch of extra good reviews. You can't you can't remove it or anything, unless it's, left fraudulently, if somebody's lying about you and you want to complain about it. I mean, there's stuff you can do then. Go to Google and say, hey, this person's not even a customer and they're lying about me, and they'll investigate it. But I did one on AdWords as well. I think that was in that same one, reputation management, AdWords. You know what AdWords is? That's the paid search results in Google. If you go, in fact, let me demonstrate. It's it's pay-per-click advertising, and it's a way to get some traffic that can be pretty cheap. I would think with your kind of product too, it's probably not super competitive in search results. So, I mean, if you might be able to get in there for a penny or two a click, and that might be something to look into. Maybe throw $50 at it one day and see what happens. But let me let's search for something here. I'll go back to my famous boat rental search. These are the Google My Business listings. First of all, once you have a My Business listing and a search term like this comes in, these are not paid for. These are free listings that people created. How Google chooses to rank them is, I'm not 100% sure what that's based on. You can see this one only has 2 reviews and only has 1 star, and it outranks these other 2. I don't know why that would be. It may be a location thing. Maybe these guys are closer to me. Let's see, closer to where we are right now. Which that may be the case. I don't think so, though. Doesn't look like it. But yeah, once you have a Google My Business listing and somebody searches for something like your product, or if you qualify to come up in that ranking, you'll get a listing like this that will show you on the map. Unless you tell it that you don't want it to be shown on the map, then you'll just get a listing here and you won't get a little peg on the map, which is fine. That's how my business is. I don't show it because I do it out of my home. And I don't want people coming to my home looking for work or asking for work. Let's see, we don't have any ads here. Oh, here we go. You'll get a search result like this. It looks just like all the others. It's got the title here. It's got this is your meta description, by the way. That's what comes up here when I was talking about that. This is your page title. This is your meta description. That's what Google. This isn't, in this case, because this is an ad, but all of these others that are not ads. When you do a search in Google, look for this little box here by some of the results. That just means it's paid for, that they didn't rank up there because of their search engine optimization. They ranked there because they paid Google to put them there. That's what AdWords is creating these types of ads to help get you ahead of other people. I would think, I say that your stuff isn't really competitive, so it'll probably be cheap to use AdWords. That's also a reason you wouldn't need to use AdWords too, because if you start ranking for some of those search terms, there aren't going to be a lot of other sites to compete with, I would think. I guess it depends. Some of the terms like clean air conditioning lines or something like that, that's probably pretty well searched because people do that sort of thing. So there may be some stuff that it might be worthwhile to try out. Once you start using AdWords too, they frequently will send you a credit for like $100. So if you just go on and spend a couple of bucks and they feel like, they want to get more of your business, they'll send you, well, here's a $100 credit to try AdWords, which is cool. You get $300 of advertising. But that's what that is. One of my presentations talks about that a little bit. I did get into analytics a little bit on the one about the user experience management. I think I showed analytics on the screen and clicked through some of the stuff on there, what you can do with it. The reason I put that on there is for tracking. One of the things you can do in analytics is create goals. So anytime a user performs an action on your site, whatever it may be, in my case, usually if I have like a contact form, I'll have a thank you page of some kind. So once they fill out the form and click submit and it sends an email to me, then it redirects them to a page like, thank you, we received your information, you'll hear from us soon. So I'll create a goal in analytics. Every time somebody sees that thank you page, that counts as a conversion. So I know they filled out a form then. There's no other way to get to that page. So in analytics, it's tracking every conversion that comes through. I can now look to see where they came from, what website they came from before they got here, whether it was a organic Google search, whether they came from Facebook, whether they came from some other website that had a link to mine. That's something that's a very important part of tracking what you're doing, so you can see what's working, what's not, especially if you're paying for advertising. If you're paying for Facebook ads and you're paying for Google AdWords and you want to know which one of those is doing better for you, well, analytics, you can track that. You can see, from Google, I got 3 leads this week, and from Facebook, I got 10 leads this week for the same amount of money. I'm going to stop using Google and just spend extra money on Facebook now. So that's one of the useful things that's in that video as well. So I think that's pretty much all I've got for you guys, if there are no other questions at all.
How do you get to that video? The video?
Right now, it's on Jim's channel, which is Jim Green is what it's called. So there are probably a whole bunch of Jim Green. So I would search for, just go to Google and or YouTube and search for Jim Green score. And no, still get a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, well, you got his channel here, so at least that comes up. But none of the videos. Interesting. Oh, here's one. That's today. That's the one right now. We're already showing up in YouTube. So yeah, Jim Green score will at least get you to his channel, and then once you get to his channel, you can see the videos that are here. It only has 3 of them. Strange. Yeah, this is the reputation management and AdWords one. But they're all on here. And this one will be about 10 minutes after I close this Hangout, which I'm going to do right now.